birthday party? Then you got a freaking miracle. There you go.
Welcome to the Abracadamn Podcast, and I'm your host, stand-up comedy magician Danny Whitson. All right, Abracadamn, it has been it's been a crap week. It's been a crap week. I'm going to be honest. It's, started out with finding out about the great Norm Macdonald passing away, and I've been a big fan of Norm Macdonald, ever since I was a kid. Watching SNL and the movie Dirty Work. And then just every time Norm told one of his long drawn out jokes on Conan or Letterman, that was the greatest. The comedy world is really took a hit with this because they don't make them like Norm Macdonald anymore, guys. They don't. Norm was a comedian's comedian. So that was a big bummer. And also, on a more personal note, my family lost our brother-in-law to the other day, and that's been a tough one. It's been a tough week. So any good vibes, send the vibes our way. That would be much appreciated. Thank you so much. And I do want to give a big shout out. Thank you, Norm Macdonald, wherever you are, for telling all those jokes. And also thank you to my brother-in-law, Big Bob, for always being good to me. But enough with the sad stuff. We don't need the Abracadamn isn't depressing. Hopefully it's not depressing. This might be depressing, though. This might be some more bad news. But I just heard they're doing a recall on kale. I've never been less affected by a news headline in my entire life. But if this affects you, all right, you may want to toss out that kale. Yeah. Could say toss that salad, but we'll say toss the kale. I don't even know what that could be, transformed into. What kind of Urban Dictionary does that mean? Toss my kale. Something gross. Really gross, because it's kale. But anyways, let's get right into the sponsors for today's episode. This episode is also brought to you by Will's Towing, located at 2081 Oak Ridge Turnpike, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Now, guys, no one likes to be broke down on the side of the road. It's awful. It sucks. But don't panic. If this does ever happen, give Will Roberts a call at 865-272-5300 and let Will Roberts take care of your towing needs. Will come pick it up, and he will park that car anywhere you need him to park it. If you want that car set in your living room, Will put it in your living room. Also, we've all seen those tow truck drivers that show up and they look kind of sketch. Like they may have been touching a possum before they came up to you. You know what I mean? One of those guys. You never have to worry about that at Will's Towing. Everybody who works at Will's Towing is clean, safe, and very friendly to deal with. So, if your car breaks down, you need a towing service at all, give Will Roberts a call at Will's Towing. That's 865-272-5300. All right, Abracadamn. Now, today's guest is probably one of the most creative and unique magicians out there right now. He takes classic magic effects and puts a very cool twist on them, and which I just admire his creativity. I really do. Also, and besides magic, he travels around and he designs escape rooms. So if you've ever done an escape room, heck, it may have been one that he's designed. You never know. Everybody enjoys escape rooms, except people just recently let out of prison. I'm sure they're not into it. But besides that, they're fun. So if you will, Abracadamn, sit back and relax and enjoy my fun conversation with Magician Bizzaro. All right, we got Bizarro here on the Abracadamn Podcast, man. How you doing today?
Good. Just trying to avoid the heat here in Las Vegas. It's like 2 million degrees Kelvin. It's great.
Well, I tell you what, man, I know who you are, and a lot of people in the magic community know who you are. But if you don't mind, will you go ahead and introduce yourself to my listeners?
Yeah, sure. My stage name is Bizarro. I am a stage performer, but I do a ton of other stuff. I do a lot of consulting and building for other performers. It's kind of like being a joke writer for magicians, except that you have to invent tricks and teach them how to do them and stuff. And then I also make escape rooms on the side. It's kind of one of my little side hustles.
Oh, super cool. I didn't know that about you, escape rooms.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Sorry.
Well, I tell you what, first of all, the thing that jumps right out of people is the name, Bizarro. Okay. Now, you are definitely one of the most creative magicians out there right now, especially just with the name, everything. Where did you come up with the name Bizarro?
So I actually know this story very well because I was there. When I was 13, I was in Austin, Texas, because I'm originally from Dallas. I live in Las Vegas now, but I've been out here like almost 14, 15 years. But when I was out there growing up, I was practicing a trick in front of a mirror, and I remember doing a move, and I was like, "Oh, that move was really bizarro." All of a sudden, there's like this bright light bulb Dirk Diggler kind of moment where I'm like, "Oh, that's a name." That's a name. Now, I had no idea that there was a Superman villain called Bizarro. I had no idea there was a comic strip at some point. None of that was on my radar. I just said the word out loud and went, "Oh, that's great." And then somewhere along the lines, I was like, "Oh, do I do it with 2 Z's or is it 2 R's?" And then because I grew up listening to ZZ Top and I always liked their little 2Z logo, I went, "We're going to go with 2 Z's. Who cares? Whatever." So a lot of people don't spell my name correctly. They're like, "Oh no, I'm sure that must be a typo. I'll spell it correctly for him." I'm like, "No, stop it. It's on purpose."
Well, dude, hey, I love it, man. And it's something that people remember too, I'm sure, because one of the biggest issues, especially magicians, and comics get it too, comics, magicians, but people will walk away from a show that they'll really enjoy it and they'll be like, "You know what? That magician was great," but they don't remember your damn name. So, Bizarro is something that they're going to see and they're definitely going to remember that. Definitely.
Sometimes, yeah, I mean, it's one of the things where I talk about this in my creativity lectures. Like, if you have an identity, it'll help you stand out. Even if they don't remember your name, they can look at you and go, "Oh, I know this guy." It's why I wear like the red hat. Well, not why. I mean, I wear the red hat for, because I like it. But when you have an identity that makes you stand out from everybody else, it really helps you as a performer. People just be like, "Oh, I know this person," and then they can try to remember your name.
And, I agree with that 100%. I kind of, it took me a while to kind of bounce back around with that myself. Like when I started out street performing, that's when I first started out. I went out there and I looked like every other street performer,
A vest, a hat.
Yeah.
You look like Gazzo and Cellini's love child.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the redheaded stepchild at that,
Right.
So then finally I was like, you know what, man, this is not me. This is absolutely not me. I have to be me. And finally I figured out a way to let my personality sell itself. And
yeah, and that takes some time as a performer. It's one of those things you can't. I mean, some people are lucky and find it early, but some people it takes a while. And it's some people never find it, I think.
Some people never do. Some people stay in that clone stage, and you can really tell.
I mean, hey, listen, the world needs cover bands, so I
mean, they do. I totally agree. So, okay, now, so you got into magic young, like most magicians, and you said 13 years old, in Texas. Okay, Texas. Cool place. I know some great people in Texas, man, especially Austin.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a lot of Texans on here. I've had a lot of Texans.
I actually will be down in Austin in like about a month performing at TAOM down there. They're a big magic convention.
Nice. I would love to go to that. Really, I would, man. Just for one, I'd like to get to Austin, but two, I would like to check out that convention. So, I mean, now, how long was it though? Because you're in Las Vegas now, and that's a big leap. And you said you've been in Vegas for how long?
Almost 15 years, I'd say 14, 15, somewhere around there.
Now, did you do the leap to Vegas, I mean, professionally for your career? Is that what?
Oh yeah, for sure. So basically when I just felt like I exhausted all my options in Dallas, and quite frankly, I don't know if you know this, the South isn't terribly progressive when you're a weirdo. So I was like, let's go somewhere where they take stage performing a little more seriously. And I will go where there's no magicians. I'll move to Las Vegas. No. But yeah, I just wanted to go somewhere where magic would be taken, what I was doing would be taken seriously. And there was just more opportunity for it because I worked the live music and bar and nightclub scene down in Dallas. And I was really the only one doing that. And then that scene kind of dried up due to various reasons. And I'm like, I got to get out of here.
I think that's interesting because, I primarily work comedy clubs and, that's kind of the venues that I do work. And those kind of scenes can be tough, I think though, I will say this, maybe that's why I like you, Bizarro, because I think that makes you a tough performer. That makes you, you've dealt with some crowds, bro.
Working for drunk people will definitely harden you a bit, and it'll also teach you what's important. It's like street performing is the same way. It teaches you what's important, and some of the best top-notch performers started on the street, started in behind bars, all that stuff. There's something about dealing with assholes that makes you better.
That's true.
That's why it's like I never really cared much for like restaurant magic, or as my friend Dwayne, who's also a street performer, he calls it dinner hostage theater, where it's like you walk up to these people and you do your magic and they'll just be polite to you. They'll just kind of be like, yeah, that's great, here's $1, go away. They won't. And I used to go to this may be kind of as a shock to nobody. I used to frequent a goth club in Dallas, and I would practice stuff there. I would come up with ideas, and I'd go practice on them because those people won't mince words. They'll just be like, I saw it, you screwed up. And so I'm like, listen, if I can fool the weirdo goth kids, I can fool anybody. So it's good to kind of be forged in fire, as it were, and don't just stick to the stuff that is easy and safe, I guess.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. There's I've never, I think we've all had our experience in restaurant magic, and I never enjoyed it either. Back whenever I did do it, I remember, I'll never forget landing the gig like at all the McAllisters, and they would have family kids eat free night, which just turned into like a bunch of kids following me around in McAllisters. I was like, this is hell.
Yeah.
I never want to do this.
Wow, I didn't know I was doing community service. This is terrible. Yeah.
So, and also I figured out, like I will say this, the restaurant guys, to me, every time you go to a new table, that's a new show. You have to build.
Oh yeah.
Start. So to me, I was like, man, I would rather do one show and, make.
Yeah, well, that was always my thing too. Is like, I'd rather be on stage and have the audience come see me on purpose instead of me interrupting somebody's meal. It's like, I don't like to bug people. I'm just not that guy. And that's why like, even though I've done street performing, I don't like to do it because it's just like, hey, look at me. Like, it's like pulling teeth while herding cats. It's terrible.
I had to get out of it just for my kind of people. I'm the pasty type, so my people don't do well in the sun. So
indeed,
I had to crawl into the clubs and for safety. But yeah. But I will say this though. I mean, now the streets taught me that it taught me how to engage an audience. It teaches.
Oh yeah, no. There's definitely lessons that everybody should do stuff like that at least once to know whether they like it or not. It's like, find the things you like and find the things you don't like.
Yeah. Now I will say
that's advice for life, really.
Yeah, absolutely it is. That's great life advice, folks. So if you're listening, take it from Bizarro.
Yeah, that's right. Try all the drugs. Find the one that you like. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Trust me, these pistols probably have. So it's okay.
Right. Yeah. Right. Probably. But yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely. There's a lot of. I know a little bit about a lot of things, and there's a lot of things I know I don't want to do because I've tried them.
Absolutely. Now, this is something I'm really big on, and I think this is something I really like about you too, Bizarro, is. Now, in magic, we did mention clones, and in magic, there is a lot of clones. And I can watch an act, and it doesn't matter so much if it fools me. But if I see something original, if I see something unique that someone's personality they've put into that routine, I absolutely fall in love with it. I'm like, that is brilliant. Now, you do a lot of that with your material. Some of the stuff that I've seen, I'm like, well, that's clearly Bizarro magic trick right there. What's your take on that with where we're at right now with magic? And do you see a lot of magicians maybe starting to venture that way?
I mean, well, the short answer is no. I mean, right now we're kind of like up to our nipples in bad social media magic. It's somebody goes out, they buy a trick, they put no thought into it, and then they just perform it, and then they throw it in a drawer or sell it and never see it again. They don't put the time into it to make it an actual thing. And there's a handful of people who want to. I figured this out recently having a conversation with somebody. It's like when you're talking about magic, you have to decide if you're talking about it as an art form or as a business, because it's two different things. And for me, it's art first, money maybe second or third. So it's like I'm always trying to figure out a way to perform and make it my own and make it interesting. But a lot of these people, a lot of the younger generation is like, I'm just going to do this to try to get views and clicks. Like once the world got more. Once you can monetize everything, it kind of sucks all the art out of things. So, but there are definitely people out there who are trying to do something interesting and unique. And this goes back to the identity thing. If you want to stand out, make it your own. My friend used to say, you either need to be the best they've ever seen or the first. And my belief is if you see a trick you like, but you see 3 other people do it, probably stay away from it, because that means there's probably 50 other guys doing it in your town. Or you either need to sit there and go, how do I make this my own? How do I make, like I've always said, it's like, make the magic to who you are. Don't make yourself to the magic, because that's how you end up being a clone of everybody else. So if you find a way to take it, make it your own, because what'll happen is somebody will see it. Like let's give an example of like the balloon swallow. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's where you inflate a 3-foot balloon, like animal balloon, and you eat it. It's awesome. I've been doing that since I was a young teenager. I was an early adopter. And I wrote a whole like vignette around it, right? And I have a whole comedy act with when I do my talking show and everything like that. So I've made I don't just do it like straight, like watch this, blah, 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 done. I've made this whole presentation on it. And so it's one of those things where I know people who have watched that and said, I hate that trick, but I love your version. And so it's like you want to be the guy where if somebody sees somebody else do it and then they see you do it, what's going to happen is they're going to compare. And they're going to go, oh, I saw somebody else do this, but that other guy was better. Or they're going to say, holy crap, this is the best version this I've ever seen. So that's kind of what it is. Oh, but if you make something unique to you, they have nothing to compare it to. They can't look at it and go. Now, mind you, most people don't see a lot of magic. I mean, they see a lot online, but most people don't see a magician live except maybe once or twice in their life. We're biased because we see too much of it. But I've come to find most people don't see that many magicians. But social media, there is a lot of it on TikTok and a lot of it on Facebook and a lot of this there. But they're all doing the same thing, and it's all made to be digestible or like forgettable, and just it's consumable, and then you spit it out. So right. There's a few people out there doing it right, what I consider right, I guess. And there's a lot of them who are just kind of throwing magic under the bus for likes and views, and
absolutely,
you can tell which side I'm on. So
well, okay, let me back up, because there's 2 things that you really hit on that I really want to talk about, and this is something I've been saying this. Gosh, I've been saying this for a while, and I know I sound like the old man, get off my lawn when I say this. But, okay, first of all, there is a benefit to boredom, okay? As human beings, when you look back at probably some of the greatest artists who have ever lived, thank God they were bored at one time in their life. And now we live in an age where as soon as you're bored, we've got a solution for that right away.
Yeah.
So I begin to wonder, I'm like, is art going to disappear?
No, it will. No, it'll never disappear. Like entertainment, it will never disappear. Like people need this stuff. Like certain people have this just weird infection in their brain that just tells them to create, and nothing will stop it. I think the rate at which art gets consumed and seen is going to it has increased quite exponentially. And obviously because of the ability to put your art on in front of so many people so fast, theft has increased quite a bit as well. I don't think art will ever completely just go away. Like, it'll never stop. It'll just be more protected in some ways, but also it'll just get out there faster, which means it'll be consumed faster, which means we have to have more of it. But then those people are going to come out in left field and just do something crazy new that nobody thought of somehow, or somebody thought of it and they took it to like the 13th level, and people will just be like, wow.
Gotcha. Now with magic, because we talked about, your versions of certain things, and I always kind of try to explain to people, magic is a little different from, we're sort of like musicians when it comes to, like, when I'm beginning, musicians will play other people's songs as they start out to master their craft and learn their craft. And eventually they move on to writing their own, kind of doing their own stuff.
Right.
A lot of, magicians, we do the same thing. Now, granted, this is magic jargon here, folks, but there's only so many magic effects possible, until there's new, laws of physics, we only have so many effects. So there's a lot of, of the classics that, we can do and do your own version of, like you said.
Levitation, teleportation, penetration, all that stuff.
So, with that being said, I think, it is real important to kind of put your own version, because when people, there's one routine that I will admit that I do, and I almost have a love-hate relationship.
Oh, is this turning into an intervention? Let's go. All right,
man, it is. And and here's the thing, and we all do it, or we've all done it, and it's the fiber optics version of, the Professor's Nightmare. Now,
so, well, you say everybody's done it. I've never done it.
Oh my God.
Because I've had my own version of a rope routine forever that I just do my own version of.
Well, see, okay, the reason why I still do it is because
it's a solid, it's solid.
Absolutely, it's 100% solid. But I have wrote my own jokes, my own original jokes with this routine, and I open with it.
Right.
And when I open, especially open to an audience that's never seen me before, it kills. It's a great icebreaker. They laugh, and then there's magic right in their damn face.
And here's the thing. Again, there's nothing wrong with doing things that are known as long as you make them your own. And
absolutely.
As you said, and the other thing is also, it's like if you look at these routines, and you go and you basically go, okay, I don't need this. I don't need this. I'm going to take this from this routine that has nothing to do with this. Like, in that, that's one of those things you look at it and go, don't do it verbatim 100%. It's like on the package. You start looking at other rope tricks and going, oh, I'm going to take this from Tabaret. I'm going to take this from Sands. I'm going to take this from here. And you start basically making your own thing. I'm sure Nick Defat, who you've heard of, right?
Yes. I've heard.
Right. So when I met him when he was 13, and he took like 2 or 3 rope tricks and put them together, and the little bastard fooled me with like Professor's Nightmare rope trick, because here's why. Because as a magician, you see a kid, especially a kid, pull out, here's 3 different size ropes. You just take your brain and go, well, I won't be needing this, and sit at the seat next to you, right? So I'm just watching this, just kind of half paying attention. Then all of a sudden, all the ropes restore back to 1, and I'm sitting there going, did he switch this and I missed it? What? Wait a second, you little. And I asked him later, I go, did you switch that rope? And he goes, no. And I go, what's your name? Let's talk. Let's have a chat, you smart little bugger. So it is totally possible to take something that is known and just turn it on its head.
And other than that, though, I catch myself a lot of times, like, to me, sometimes I will think, because a lot of my comedy, because I do stand-up comedy in my act as well. I stand-up comedy and my magic mix together. There may be a callback in the trick to a bit that I told earlier.
Sure.
So sometimes I'll think of the joke first, and then I have to come back to the trick, and I'm like, well, what magic trick?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have jokes that I'm waiting to find places for in my stand-up act. I'm just waiting. I'm just like, okay, well, how do I make this work in the middle of a magic routine? Because it makes no sense.
So but that's my favorite thing to do these days. Like back in the early days, how geeked out you would be to learn a new move or to learn this, but now if an idea pops up, it may set, on the shelf for years until that one thing comes around that really clicks. But now with you, so like you started doing the consulting side too now, correct? You said. So, which I think that's great. I think that's great in this day and age because people definitely need stuff like that. So do you help a lot of magicians?
I work for all sorts of people. I've made props for like Gallagher. You know who he is. I made a thing for him when he was here in Vegas. I've worked, these are not things I yell from the rooftops. It's like I've created stuff for Copperfield. I've done stuff for like Adam Trent for a couple of his TV shows, Carbonaro, and a bunch of other people who you probably have never heard of. I get asked to make some of the weirdest stuff. I've made some strange things. I've got all sorts of weird silicone molds in my garage that you'd be like, "What's this?" Don't ask. Just don't ask. It looks like a sex toy, but just don't ask.
I didn't. Now, I don't know, dude. Now that I know what you do, this man, I'm gonna have to hit you. I'm telling you, I got some crazy shit that I got to get made, man. Really,
I'm all for it. Trust me. I made a remote control snake can launcher for somebody recently. It's like I always tell people, it's like I make unique props. Don't come at me and be like, I want a version of like Run Rabbit Run. I'm like, just go buy one and put different paint on it. Stop me. I'm not your guy for that. I'm the guy who's like, I need a thing that nobody else in the world knows how to make. I'm like, all right, well, let's figure it out.
Gosh, that is me. That is totally me. For the longest now, I've had to get creative, but I had to make a shoe prop, a Chuck Taylor shoe, but it's not an actual real shoe.
Right.
And now I did get it priced, and it was insane expensive.
Oh, so sure.
I turned around and kind of made my own, and which works fine. But now there's other things though. I'm like, there's just no way I could make this. Absolutely, I need to get this made. So
and that's the thing. It's like, you want to make some. That's the other thing about making something unique, because you also got to deal with a lot of R&D, right? And so research and development. A lot of people don't understand some people will come to me and be like, "Hey, I have an idea. Do you have a method?" No. And I'm like, so I have to invent the method for you. Great, cool. So it's like, okay, that's going to be a couple of weeks worth of work of me just testing methods and stuff. And then I tell them a price, and they're like, "Oh, that's expensive." I'm like, then do it yourself.
Yeah.
It's like you're paying for my expertise and my time more than anything. It's like I can make you a prop in an hour. It's knowing how to do it is the hard part.
Absolutely. People don't. I get some people respect that, but then you get some people who don't really understand.
Oh yeah. My wife does like a lot of sewing stuff. So when there's a sewing project, I have her do it, and she stopped working for the like people who think they're professional magicians because they're a bunch of cheap asses. So she only does stuff for like Amazing Jonathan or people who know how to pay people.
Man, it must be the magician's wife thing, because my wife has sewn more toppets into my jackets than anyone,
Right.
I know you guys don't know what toppets are, so we'll just leave it at that, okay?
If only we lived in a world where you could Google it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's do this. So you started out, made the move to Vegas. Now, because that is true, man. In the South, I'm in Tennessee too, and people have looked at me like, Jesus, save him. When you do a card trick, I tell people,
power of Christ compels you to get away from this person.
That's what I tell people. I was like, that's how you really truly killed at a magic show, because they're tying your ass up to a tree and setting that bitch on fire. So
right.
That's in the South, at least. In the South, that's how you know great show.
Right. Was it? Are you a fan of Bill Hicks at all?
Oh, absolutely, bro.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That one joke where he's like, later when I was hanging from the tree. I love his stuff. I miss him so much.
Gosh, dude, I often wonder, what would Bill Hicks say right now?
He'd be so mad right now. He'd be so mad.
Well, first of all, Bill Hicks would have had like a hoop during the Trump presidency. That.
Oh yeah. Or an aneurysm.
Or aneurysm.
Either way, he was dying. Either way, he was probably going to die before he should have. But
yeah, I just wondered. I'm like, would Bill have said? But then again, who knows what he may have said? Oh gosh, I just can't imagine.
Yeah,
can't imagine.
I know.
Yeah, big Bill Hicks fan. From Texas. There's some Texas love right there, man.
Houston area,
yeah. Well, let me ask you this, man, because you brought up Bill Hicks, which I absolutely love Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks was a big inspiration. But anybody inspired Bizarro?
Yeah, so when people ask me, it's like, who are your like top magicians? Who are the ones like? It's like the ones I watched growing up who made me go, that's what magic is to me. Right, that the ones that I went, okay, this is what I think magic should be, and I always have my top 4. And then there's more that go down. It's like the top ones were always, it was Penn and Teller, Amazing Jonathan, Rudy Kobe, and Sylvester the Jester. Those 4 were like, they're using magic as a tool instead of the focus. And then you keep going down. You have Jeff McBride, you have Kevin James, obviously all the weirdos, all the Mike Michaels, all the guys who were just being different, found their own voice. And using magic as a tool, which is what I was like, okay, so I'm not just going to be a magician. I'm going to be me and I'm going to use it to say what I want and do what I want and everything like that.
Amen. My God, dude, you nailed it on the head. Okay. Using magic as a tool. Because
instead of being the tool,
use it. But you're exactly right. You're exactly right. People should. I want to go see Bizarro. So and then what you present is.
I tell people this all the time. Listen, it's like you can work on your tricks all day, but if you basically have what I call an interchangeable head, if I could just take your head and put it on somebody else's body and swap you, they wouldn't know. You've lost the game. It's like you need to be likable so that people will come watch you do anything. They don't care. They're just there to see you. If you're just reading a book, they're there for it, right? It's like, I want to watch this guy eat soup. Like, I don't care what it is. I just want to be around this person. And so it's like, and I think too many performers of all genres have a problem with that. And it's like there's a book called Showmanship for Magicians by a guy named Fitzky. And Fitzky's a hard read, but he was a grumpy bastard, and I liked it for that reason. But one of the things he said in there that I found interesting was people are interested in one thing more than anything else, and that is people. And if you don't think that's true, then clearly you've never watched reality television. And so it's like, yes, just be interesting as a person, as a performer, and that way people will just come. They want to know more about you. And that is, I think, the same for like a comedy, anything.
Absolutely agree. I tell people all the time, like, interested in performing, I tell people, I say, study all types of entertainers. And one person who I drop this guy's name all the time, but go back and watch Freddie Mercury. I mean, you talk about a guy that can take control of a room. I mean,
well, and that's also a Fitzky thing. He said, watch people who are at the top of their field, not magic, everything, actors, comedians, sports people, musicians. Look at what they're doing and why they're there, and look at that and go, oh, I get it. Maybe I should not steal that, but it'd be, don't emulate, but be inspired by it. Don't steal, Absolutely. But learn.
A lot of times I do that. There's guys that I've watched, I praise this guy all the time. And I don't think a lot of people know who he is in the United States, but I know magicians know who he is and other people in the world know who he is. But I literally cannot watch his comedy magic without getting jealous because it's so damn good. And it's Room Clan.
Oh, sure.
Oh, God. When I watch his stuff, I'm like, son of a bitch, why did I not think of that? That is so good.
And the thing is, most of the stuff he's not even doing is magic. Like, he's just like, it's prop comedy with a little bit of magic thrown in.
I love it though.
Guys like Chipper Lowell are like that, and even Amazing Jonathan. Amazing Jonathan is
absolutely.
very much prop comedy with a little bit of magic, where you just kind of go, wait a second. Like on the drive home, you sit there and go, where'd that water go?
Yeah. I love that. I love that, man. I love that. So, but I agree with you 100%. And there's so many things that you can, don't copy it, but let it inspire you. And, after
it's like, like I had a friend of mine come to me. He was like, oh, the Amazing John, he's going back Amazing Jonathan, had the thing where he's like doing this with the spoon and the thing blows up and he bends it. And he was like, I want to do that. And I go, well, don't just do that. And so I sat and I told him, I said, here's what you do. You get one of those squishable Coke cans, one of those fake ones that's a spring and stuff like that they make. And you sit there and do the same thing. And then they look, you go, wham, and you crush it, right? You're like, oh, look, it crushed itself. But there's a version out there where it can uncrush itself. I said, well, now that you've done it, now you do a magic trick version where you sit there and go, oh, you guys didn't see it? Let me do it in reverse. And it comes back up. I'm like, make it your own. I don't know if you ever did it.
Well, the thing that makes that
it's
also,
like, if you want to take something.
The other thing I really like about that right there, okay, is I love mixing. I love having the comedy just as strong as the magic. So a lot of times, what you just pitched right there.
Well, in comedy, real quick, writing comedy, a lot of magicians confuse gags with comedy.
They do.
Comedy is a different thing than dad jokes. A lot of magicians think dad jokes are comedy, and it's like, listen, no. That's not comedy, my friend. You need to learn how to actually write. Like Mike Bent teaches them. You know Mike Bent?
I don't know Mike. No, I do not.
Mike Bent teaches comedy up in Boston at a college, or did, and he's very funny. But he understands the difference, and he has a whole lecture of comedy writing for magicians. And I'm like, oh my god, everybody needs to see this.
That is fantastic.
Because it's like, and again, it's just knowing the difference between comedy and not comedy.
I that's one reason why I put my name. I'm a stand-up comedy magician, because no offense to any of my magic brothers out there, but there's a lot of people who slap the word comedy in their title just because they're dropping a few dad jokes between tricks. And to me, that's laughter might be a reaction to magic, but that doesn't necessarily make you, you're not a
right. Exactly.
So
that's why I really, the one thing I respect about Jeff Dunham is when he does a special, he always opens with 5 minutes of stand-up to prove he can be funny without those damn puppets.
Yeah. And well, I open with stand-up in my show. I had Nick Lewin on here not too long ago, and I remember going back and looking at some of Nick's old stuff, and Nick's up there doing 10-15 minutes of just stand-up, and
who did I see? I saw somebody recently that actually Finney, Michael Finney. We were at IBM. I was working at the IBM Magic Convention a couple of years ago in Phoenix, and he did 10 minutes of stand-up, which I'd never heard him do, and I went,
yeah
wait, what? When did you write jokes?
Yeah, I saw Finney live, and I mean, his stand-up was just as solid as a rock. Really.
I mean, he's been working comedy clubs since the 1920s or whatever.
So yeah, he's definitely been at it. Now let me let's do this. While I'm thinking of it, because I almost Bizarro, you're one of these types, man. I could sit here and probably kill forever sitting here talking with you. But let's do this real quick. On the Abracadamn Podcast, Bizarro, we ask every guest to tell a good hell gig story. Let's hear one, man.
Oh, man. All right. So probably the worst gig I think I've ever done was one where I almost, three of us had done it separately, not at the same time. We'd all went and done it separately. And it was in New Jersey, if that tells you anything. It was up in Atlantic City, up at this magic shop that had a little theater in the back. And all of us had pretty much the same experience, where we all questioned whether we wanted to keep doing magic after this gig. It was one of those where you're just kind of like, if this is the rest of my life, I'm done. Right? It was, and you'd go, and it wasn't even, the funny thing is, it wasn't that bad a gig, but man, the circumstances were just dire. So the pay was crap, and the person who put it on didn't they didn't understand how to treat performers. Performers, you got to kind of deal with us a little certain way. It's like we're coming. Usually we're traveling. Put us. They didn't put you up in a hotel. I had to stay with one of the employees, stay at their house. And I don't know if you've ever been to New Jersey, but it's pretty much like Atlantic City is 100% humidity 100% of the time. And I was living in the desert, and I go there, and I'm just like, oh my God, if I'm going to be this wet all the time, I should at least just be performing in a pool. This sucks. I hate this so much. And then because of this sudden shift of climates, I got a cold halfway through. So now I'm trying to perform magic, and there was no advertisement. There's no foot traffic. And so like some shows, I'm doing shows for 2 people. Sometimes I'm killing myself doing my silent act for 2 people. Sometimes not, but for the most part. And so thankfully I was smart enough to bring my close-up act. So about halfway through, when I would just shift. I'm like, how many tickets we got? 2, cool. Doing my close-up show instead. Just like I'm not killing myself anymore. But yeah, by the end of that whole run, it was a week long. That week was the longest year of my life. It was. I was. You know what? I feel like I need to quit because this was soul crushing. Like, and I know that doesn't sound as bad as I'm sure other stories where it's like, oh, I was traveling and I lost my luggage in my act and my dog died and my wife left me while I was on the road and then I hung myself at the Magic Castle. Nothing, it wasn't nothing like that. I'm just pulling things out of the air. But it's like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. No, was it that bad at the time? Yes, it was the worst damn thing at the time.
No, I've done that. I felt that pain before. And now I will say this is one thing, a benefit that magicians can do. When we do get those shows like that, when that has happened, you can break down and say, screw this, man. I'm just going to show card tricks. We're going to get down here and do some close-up magic. You know what I mean? So, but
it also helps to have that skill too. It
does.
You need to be self-aware and sit there and go, okay, going full out balls to the wall for 2 people is just going to be awkward for the audience.
Yeah,
they're just going to sit there and go, who's he talking to, right? So at that point, yeah, you sit down and go, all right, you're getting a private show, folks. You're getting something special.
I've literally done that before. There was a show that I showed up and there was 5 people. And I was up against the final 4 in March Madness, and they were like, "Man, sorry."
I did a walk around. Yeah, did a walk around gig like that. They asked me to walk around at a car. Where was it? It was like a car dealership, and they were watching sports the whole time, and I went, "Why am I
here?" Yeah, this sucks. What's going? Yeah, definitely. Well, that's definitely a hell gig. Definitely a hell gig. It is. Well, let's do this. Let me move on. Let's ask this question. A little thought-provoking question here, okay? Now, let's say, Bizarro, let's say that you find yourself stranded on a tropical island, okay?
Sounds terrible.
Well, wait a minute. You wake up, and there's all these spears in your face. Okay, the indigenous
like
people
in my face or just near my face,
really close to your face, and it's the indigenous people on this island. They're ready to kill you. Okay, they're ready to kill you
because they hate magicians.
Well, wait a minute. They hate magicians, but they love gods. So, if you have to prove yourself to these people that you are a god, but one magic trick would you do to convince them?
I mean, can I get up away from the spears, or do I have to do it laying like this? Like, am I allowed to get up and be like, hold on, let me get my bag here?
You could scoot up, buy some time, maybe tell them.
I'm trying to. It's like, because now I'm sitting there going, what would they understand? But it's like I will tell you, and because it's multi-purpose, and I'm not going to say the name out loud. I'm just going to give you the high side, so you know what I'm doing. And so my friends like came up with this game. It's called Magic Charades, right? Where you just perform the trick and you have to figure out what it is. So I'm going to do this for you, and those of you listening at home, tough shit, I guess. But it's like,
we'll put this on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, there we go. Just.
Oh my!
You do that with something of theirs, they're probably going to be like, oh,
okay. So
and see, I think once you get their attention, then you can do other stuff.
There you go. I
mean, if when I'm smoking a cigarette, you vanish that lit cigarette, man, they're going to be like, oh, okay, this guy.
Well, There we go. Well, maybe they were smoking. Okay, I don't know if tobacco grows on this island, so it might be.
Neither do I. I mean, if we're going to be hypothetical, let's say they're smoking something.
They're smoking something, and then you make that disappear. Okay, cool.
Right, maybe it's legal on this island. Who knows?
I love the way you went simple there. Okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can sit there and say I'll breathe fire, and I'm like, yeah, they probably know how to do that. It's like I'm not. First off, you're not going to put on I'm going to do 15 Phase Ambitious card for them, so that'll get me killed.
You know what? Nick Lewin said he would do the ambitious card.
Of course he did.
No, I like that though. I like you simple.
Yeah, I've learned, man. You make something vanish, people pay attention.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm down with that. I can totally figure that. Let me throw one more thought-provoking one at you.
Yeah, sure.
Since okay, now are you a conspiracy theory guy? Do you believe in anything cool, anything fun? Now, keep in mind what the freaking internet has done to conspiracies is they've shit on them. Okay, they're really not fun anymore. But let's pretend that crap did.
Yeah, how dare they fact check some of this shit?
Okay, but if there was a conspiracy about Bizarro, what would it be?
What's under my hat? Because nobody ever sees me under my hat. Nobody knows what's under here. Could be a tinfoil lining. Could be a giant mohawk. Nobody knows.
There's no actually. I have heard that conspiracy, and from what I heard is that you actually have the skeleton of Di Vernon hidden in that hat.
Well, not all of it.
Just some.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like a powder, right? It's like when you cremate somebody. Listen, I'm not going to say that I know where. I'm not going to say I know where his ashes are in the castle. I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right. Okay. So you heard it there, folks. And magicians, if you are listening to this, hey, who knows? It may be.
You know what? But here's the thing. I'm going to start my own here for you. All right. You know Renee Lavon, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Now that he's dead and we can't disprove this, I have a fucking theory that he didn't. I think he had both hands, and that was just his gimmick. I think he did. I never saw it. Has anybody ever seen his other hand? I don't think so. I think that was a lie. I think that other hand was he just put it in there, and it's kind of like how Stevie Wonder isn't blind, right?
That's true.
He's just putting it on.
You know what though? First of all, that's not that far-fetched when it comes to magicians. Okay, we're psychos. We do some crazy ass shit, guys, just to fool you. Okay, Chung-Ling Soo.
So imagine that's just his gimmick. He's like, you know what? I'll be the one-handed guy, but when I'm at home, I'm just like gonna cut my steak with both hands. Look at that! I got 10 digits, suckers. Chung-Ling Soo. Come on, man. Some people commit.
Absolutely, they do. Man, dude, that is a fantastic conspiracy right there.
So just start spreading that around because nobody can prove it otherwise.
Okay, one more thing I want to talk about real quick because
Yeah.
You did drop his name, and now first of all, your top inspirations absolutely are some of mine. Amazing Jonathan, Sylvester the Jester, Penn and Teller, of course, those guys are giants. But you did also mention Jeff McBride's name. And, now. In the early days of magic for me, I remember learning from Jeff McBride's, the old VHS tapes.
Oh, we all did. If you know card manip, it's because of Jeff McBride. If you're
absolutely,
yeah.
But I remember him and Eugene would always talk about the performance side of magic as well. And back then, I'll be honest, I wasn't ready for that. I didn't understand that part. I was like, that's garbage. What are you talking about? Teach me this move, And
I don't need the why, just the how.
Yeah, I don't need the why. And now looking back at a lot of the stuff that Jeff was teaching and Eugene, it's pure gold. It is absolutely pure gold. And you don't see a lot of magicians doing that now, do you? I mean, that was.
We're also losing a lot of our masters who've thought about magic and stuff. It's
true.
like they're not. I'm a little sad that we're losing guys and not being replaced as quickly, as they used to be. There's still a handful of people out there, myself included, who are very much about like, here's how you do it, here's why you do it, here's some performance tips. Like my new lecture, I've got a whole thing with performance tips and stuff like that I'm working on. And, it's just, and the serious student, the people who want to take magic as a performing art seriously will hunt that information down. The ones who don't are going to make Facebook prank videos. And so, it's whatever, it just depends on how serious of a student you want to become and how much of the art form you want to respect and delve into, and again, there's people out there who are doing it and doing it, right. If you want to call it that. And it's definitely, it's hard, getting harder and harder to find because you don't have people who can draw from have a lifetime of experience.
That's true. That's 100% correct.
So as Rudy Kobe says, meet you. Tell your heroes how much you like them before they die. It's like.
That is awesome. I totally agree with that. And thank God we got people like Bizarro. Thank God we got, magic. We got some, Well, I tell you what, man, before we get out of here, first of all, man, this has been a blast. I really enjoyed talking to you. Where can the listeners find
Happy to talk shop.
Well, where can they find more out about Bizarro? Where can they find
so my personal website is bizarro.ninja because that is funny to me.
Why not?
Who needs a.com when you can be a ninja?
Absolutely.
And if you need anything, some props built, I have a website called bizarrobydesign.com. It's 2 Z's, 1 R, 27 points on a Scrabble board. And if you're an escape room person, need some stuff, you need go check out all of our weird escape room stuff over at testsubjects.com. And that's pretty much all the important websites. So
that is awesome, man. Bizarro, dude, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for coming on there.
Oh, hey, thanks for caring to hear what I think.
Absolutely, brother.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Abracadamn Podcast. Like I said, Bizarro is definitely one of the most creative and unique magicians out there. And also, you may be into haunted houses or films, making movies, or a magician. If you are and you need custom-made props, Bizarro is the guy to contact. Also, if you haven't done so, please subscribe and follow the Abracadamn Podcast on whatever platform it is you listen to your podcast. We are there, the Abracadamn Podcast. Check us out. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and like always, Abracadammits, thank you for listening.
Awesome!
Abracadabra.
But Danny, will you please stop drinking vodka at my kid's birthday party? And then you got a freaking miracle. There you go.